How's it going there, my friends? Ollie here with another loaf of daily bread. Today's loaf comes to us from the meditation teacher Dipa Ma, and she says, "The whole path of mindfulness is this. Whatever you are doing, be aware of it." Now, you know me, I always like it short and sweet, and this is about as short and as sweet as it gets. It's really easy to get into the minutiae of things when you're talking about philosophy and spirituality. It's really easy to split hairs and overanalyze and over-systemize things. And so every once in a while, it's really nice to have someone come in and just lay it out for you in one sentence. The essence of mindfulness is that whatever it is that you're doing, be aware that you're doing it. I mean, how simple is that? If you can grasp that concept, that idea of being aware of what you're doing as you're doing it, then you're good. You're on the path of mindfulness. You're already mindful. You don't have to worry about anything in terms of, creating an elaborate practice or setting reminders for yourself. You don't need to do that. You're already there. That is mindfulness, being aware of what you're doing as you're doing it. Now, of course, we have to be clear. Doing it doesn't mean doing it in the physical sense. It's not just being aware of what you're doing with your body as you're doing it, although that is very important and very powerful as well. Being aware of what you're doing as you're doing it also means being aware of the thoughts that you're thinking and the emotions that you are experiencing, because that is a form of doing as well. You have to be there, and you have to embrace these things and hold them firmly and look at them clearly as they're happening. And sometimes as they're happening, you're only half aware of them. You're only half aware because you're consumed by an emotion perhaps, or you're distracted by something. But even if you're only half aware of it, that little bit of awareness sometimes is enough to act like a hook. I know for myself, I often will get angry over something, and there's a small part of me that realizes I'm getting angry, which is stupid, and that I'm also getting angry for a stupid reason, because most of the time it's something pretty minor and unimportant. So there's a small part of me that is aware of what I'm doing as I'm doing it, but the majority of me, the bulk of me, is being carried on by certain momentums, and I can't stop myself. I can't get in there right away. But because I was aware of it as it was happening, I can go now an hour or 2 hours later when I am calmer and more present, and I can actually observe or analyze what happened. So you can be mindful in hindsight if you're at least partially aware at all times. The way I describe it to people is like trying to keep one foot in at all times. You never want to be all the way out in the world. You never want to be all the way out in the material realm. You never want to just be paying attention strictly to your material circumstances and your material surroundings. You always want to have at least a little bit of awareness on what's happening inside. Because as I've said before, what happens inside actually determines what happens outside in a lot of ways. There is a mutual and symmetrical relationship between the psyche and the external world. And so you have to keep some awareness aimed within, because if you're out there and you're all the way out there and you're not paying attention to what's happening within, then what's happening without is not going to be very enjoyable for you. Or at least I suspect it won't be. It wasn't for me. In a previous Daily Bread video, I talked about looking at the world in such a way as to see the sacred in the ordinary, or to see the daily miracles that are always happening around us and that we're just too busy or too distracted to notice. That's an example of as within, so without. When you change the way you look at the world appears different. Always keep a little bit of your awareness aimed inward. Don't put yourself all the way out there, and whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's an internal action of the mind or an external action of the body, be aware of it as you're doing it. And if you're not fully aware of it, become fully aware of it when you're in a headspace that allows it. That's all I got for you today. Thanks for joining me, and live well, my friends.